As you probably have figured out, I am currently sitting in my happy place, Goldberg's garage. Now, I try to spend as much time here as humanly possible, but it's inevitable that I got to pack my bags and head out to the public. So, without further ado, my last appearance on the books for 2026 is coming up. June the 6th, St. Augustine, Florida, River City Wrestling Con. Make sure you're there so you can be next.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Brothers and sisters, I have a fantastic episode this week for you. A conversation with someone who is one of my original guests from year one of Duke Loves Rasslin. As you know, we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the show, and I'm taking a look back from time to time here just to highlight some of the wonderful folks that you've heard originally and essentially checking in on them. So without further ado, check out this conversation with independent pro wrestler, husband, father, and overall great dude, Telless Cade. Check this out.
I like the fact that you're interviewing people who are not just wrestling personalities, because wrestling itself is a lens on society. All art is, and wrestling does not it's not an exception to that rule. I'm like, dude, one time while I was working as a wrestler back in the 2000s or whatever, early 2000s or whatever, this show in Arkansas where the face was basically a fucking Klan member.
What?
Can you imagine that? And then conversely, I did the same show around the same time period. I did it in Lubbock. And there was these, it was Lubbock and Amarillo. They say it's basically the same town. And his gimmick was he's an ICE agent. And he's deporting people from Mexico. Like, wow. If that's not lens to society, I don't know what it is. Like wrestling, like, and you see it in JBL and the Eddie Guerrero feud where he's basically on the border trying to catch people, which not, like, it's funny how wrestling is basically just what people are concerned about now, what they worry about. And so you see the characters reflect that in TV, Seth Rollins at one point was a Joker. I don't know what he is now, but at one point he was a Joker, the Hurt business is basically black excellence.
Yeah.
People like seeing black success, they're basically a black version of the Four Horsemen.
Yep.
So I love the fact that you're interviewing people who are not just wrestlers or who are not just commentators or not just writers, but people who contribute to our pop culture as a whole in one way or another.
I think it's important, man, because, and you've known me for a long time, Telless, you're one of my original guests here on Duke Loves Rasslin. You were part of year one. So you've been with me throughout the entire 10-year period. And folks, we're talking to Telless Cade, and we're going to do a proper introduction in a moment, but we were having such a great conversation offline that I just hit record. Let's just jump into it. But I have a diversity in interests because I'm a complete human being. Pro wrestling is just one small aspect of my interests. I have interest in different types of music and different types of food. My friends come from all different walks of life. What I consume, whether it be news, entertainment, food, drinks, culture, what I consume is never one thing. So it would be odd of me to have a show or multiple shows where I'm just doing one thing and I just want to talk to one type of person. No, I want to have Telless Cade on here, an independent pro wrestler, a father, a husband, a business owner, an intellectual. I want to have you on And from
intellectual.
a higher level perspective, that's what you are. A higher level perspective, we can examine pro wrestling and how it affects society, but we can also talk about other things. And the best part about it is the wonderful audience that we've grown through the years. They show up for that. The majority of my listeners are not necessarily pro wrestling fans. They just enjoy the conversation, and because of the conversation, they'll tune in here and there to pro wrestling.
I mean, but it's obvious, right? Like, look at, and most media is that way, right? Like NFL will they'll advertise, Schwab, or they'll advertise a car. They're like, our media is not just one thing, right? It's never just, I'm a wrestling like talking to people who like wrestling stuff, like so action figures or games. No, you watch the WWE podcast show, and you'll see a commercial about I don't know. The other day I saw one about I think it was Morgan Stanley or something that came on to the commercial, and so you are really just in time. Not just in time, because it makes it sound like you just started yesterday. I feel like but I feel like I feel like the culture probably caught up with you, if it makes sense.
No, it's deep. I appreciate that analysis, man. And I don't take that lightly, because again, you're somebody who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And you're somebody who I've let in to see the growth from different angles. So you're part of my private Facebook group. You and I have had long form conversations personally and talking about life and the different changes that we go through. And you've been a guest on the show. So it's ironic that you've seen the whole sausage get made from all different aspects.
Bro, you knew me before I was a dad.
Yeah.
And like I'm 3 children deep now. You knew me before my mom was alive. You knew when I was in grad school. You knew before while I was newly married. You saw me literally go from a boy to a man.
I knew you before the gray hairs.
Before the gray hairs, before the gray hairs. And I got a shit ton of them now, man. My wife the other day said I'm salt and pepper now. I'm getting salt and pepper now. We first started dating. I was like jet black hair, and now now I have like this gray on the temples, gray on my mustache, gray on top of my hair. Now I'm really like, what's that show? Invincible Omni-Man. That's kind of how I'm looking now.
Yes. I love it. You got to grow the mustache, though. You got to grow the mustache thicker, though. Man, come on now.
I need to get thicker. I need to get the Butch Mike mustache, man. Yes. I'm already saying. Thankfully, I stay actively in the gym, so I'm not the same stature as one. I just need to get the mustache going, and I'll be good to go.
Listen, that's one thing about you that's never changed, man. In fact, it's only gotten better. You are in incredible shape, like incredible shape, man. My goodness. Thanks, I don't know how you do it. Man.
Well, sacrifice, man. My children is autistic, and I'm so worried about somebody, like, if my house has a fire, can I save everybody? And so the goal is to carry everybody on my shoulders and walk out the house. The Chris Masters type of hero story, where somebody the house is on fire. Can I lift my wife on one shoulder, my 3 kids on the other shoulder, and walk out the house? And I'm proud to say right now I can lift all 3 children at the same time on my shoulders.
Deep.
So that's kind of my goal, man. If the world's on fire and I don't know who's alive or who's like conscious, can I carry everybody out the house at one time? And until I can get that point, I still work to do.
Let me tell you something, man. If you still got work to do, then I don't know what that says about the rest of us. Because my God, you know what I mean. You're a damn Superman over there, and I love that. Listen,
man.
You just said something interesting though. You talked about you have a child who's autistic, and I want to dig into that a little bit, because from the perspective of a parent in 2026 who has an autistic child, and you're a black man, and you're raising a family in this society that is so unstable, and people are trying to roll back the rights of so many different classes and subgroups of people. I want to dig into that. But before we do that, though, Telless, let's give you a proper introduction. For you to reintroduce yourself to the Duke Loves Rasslin audience, and it's been a while. How about you lay it on us, brother? How do you introduce yourself today?
Well, today I introduce myself as a financial consultant. You saw my career grow. When I first met you, I was just doing sales before grad school and everything. But now I run my own advisory financial consulting firm called Cade and Company. And my background is to get really highbrow. I hate doing this. It's venture capital and private equity and mergers and acquisitions. And I help companies get ready. Sold. And now I'm focusing on local businesses who are just trying to get their numbers right so they can properly project their growth and their scale their business and hire employees and whatnot. It's kind of hard to grow your business when you don't know exactly what's going on in your business. And so my job is to come in there and help companies get cleaned up, and show them what they have and let them know each month, for example, how much cash they have in the bank. Because people might think, I made money, but you really didn't, because if you look at sometimes the revenue, the cost it takes to produce something, and exactly what you collected in each month. So that's what I do. And I hate to be long-winded with it, but I have my MBA with a focus in strategy and entrepreneurship and private equity from Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. And I went to undergrad at Texas A&M University. Graduated 2013, 2014. And met my wife in college, so you can say we're college sweethearts, so to speak. And got married, did the whole nine. She's a food scientist, so we're pretty educated family over here, and that's what we value: education and fitness. She's in the gym as much as I'm in the gym, probably more actually. So yeah.
She'll kick your butt. That's all I hear there. She will straighten you out.
One time, funny story, right? One time, right, I used to scare her all the time, just mess with her. I used to scare her all the time, right? I quit doing this, and this is why. So one time I tried to scare her, and I said, boo, and she just gave me the fiercest right to my jaw. I call reflex. Just, wow, I fail. I said, you know what? I'm done trying to scare you anymore. I'm not trying to scare you anymore. And I haven't ever since, because she's the kind of person, she's not a runner, she's a fighter. So she just swung with instinct. She didn't even see me. I know she see me because she was wearing her glasses. I know she didn't see me. So yeah, don't mess with my wife.
Don't mess with his wife. You will find out the hard way. That's for sure. That's for sure. So let's rewind it now, like we said, because you talked about one of your kids is autistic, and I'm really curious about this, Telless, because again, you and your wife, educated, hardworking, got a wonderful family. And you have this child who definitely needs a little extra assistance. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be just as educated, if not more educated. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be any less accomplished, but they definitely need more assistance in order to continue to get there. I'll just ask you straight up, man. What is that like in 2026 to raise a child with those challenges in this society?
It's incredibly difficult, and my child's no difficult than most, because in autism we have something called twice exceptional, and what that is that you heard people saying autism they have superpowers and whatnot, and they can do crazy things.
Yes,
that's my child. My child had one piano lesson and taught himself 3 songs. He taught himself how to read. He taught himself how to do math. Like, that's my child, and so. And he's level 1 autistic. Autism comes in different levels, 1, 2, and 3. He's level 1, so his issues are mainly social. He has a hard time expressing what he needs and does what he wants. You have to ask him direct questions. He doesn't do the small talk, and that's hard because right now we're trying to get him in school, and he's the kind of kid where he would just get left behind because he won't speak up for himself. He'll sit behind and just daydream all day and STEM all day and laugh at his own jokes all day in his head. So, and I live in Houston. And so Houston, I'm not sure if you pay attention to the news lately, Texas as a whole is having problems with the public education systems. And so there's resources, they're accessible, but a lot of schools don't use them correctly. So what it requires basically is parents really taking a more aggressive approach to make sure that kid gets what he needs. And I say aggressive because we have meetings with his teachers every day. He's in therapy to manage to get better at speaking. We have meetings. He goes to 2 different schools. He goes to traditional school and he goes to his therapist all day from Monday through Wednesday or whatever. And it really just requires you to be on top of everything. You really can't like be passive. Like, I grew up in the 90s, right? And I barely had parents. My mom didn't raise me, and my dad I don't know who the hell he is. So I'm kind of, of a weird case where I kind of raised myself for the most part. Like Duke, why I was in a homeless, I was in a homeless shelter. At 7 years old, I was by myself with the men. So I had to learn how to iron my clothes, I had to learn how to feed myself, I do all that at 7 years old, like some Matilda stuff. And so my kid, to me, is like such a, like, I had no idea what to do because I didn't have help from a parent when I was that age. So a lot of it is just me learning on the fly how to be a parent to a kid who needs so much out of you. And at the same time, I have to make sure that his brothers don't feel like they're getting ignored because he requires so much effort from us as parents. And I do a lot, and it's just a lot to handle, and it requires you really to be patient. There are times when I take a deep breath every hour or so to manage my own stress, support my wife, us have vacations and to decompress, and it's just a lot to handle. And sometimes you feel like sometimes you feel like you versus the world, essentially. Because the biggest thing is people sometimes think because they're autistic, they're stupid or whatnot. And they treat them as such. The other day I saw a video. This autistic kid was getting abused in school. Like, they're hitting them and calling them the N-word. And he can't speak. He's saying, "Make my kid," basically. And it hurts my heart, man, to know these kids are being abused so much, man, because they can't speak for themselves. People think, "Oh, it's fine." It hurts my heart, man. It really does.
That is a lot to unpack, brother. And I'm with you. It hurts my heart to see that as well, because here's the reality, just like you said. In most cases, folks who have been identified as autistic, they have all of these skills, man, especially when it comes to music, math. There are just certain things that they are exceptionally good at. Yeah. And I think that for everybody, when you look at whoever you consider gifted, as far as I'm concerned, a gifted person is just a person who found the thing or the things that they're really good at, and they were encouraged enough to keep digging into that.
Exactly. There's a story about Isaac Newton was autistic. Because,
yes.
Because there's a story where he went 2 years, he basically quarantined himself, and he was so interested in space, whatnot. He invented calculus to understand space better. You know what I mean? That's pretty autistic. Or Lincoln. They don't know he was autistic. They said at one point he was so engrossed in what he was doing, he had such a high intensity focus on something that he forgot to eat for 3 days. Wow, that's autistic kids. They don't. Like my son could get so engrossed in something what he's doing, he forgets he has to eat. I don't mind him to eat this food, And so, it's been here, and you're right. They have a lot of gifts that if we took time to understand them, we might have cures to all sorts of things, man. I really think that behind every huge breakthrough is somebody who's neurodivergent in some way.
Tell me about this, Telless, because again, you got 3 kids now, and you're a guy who, you're a pro wrestler, even though you realized, I need to preserve my body, so maybe this ain't the best thing to be doing. You can't have it both ways, so to speak. But you're a pro wrestler. You know the business. You are involved in different groups and what have you, where you speak about the business. And I always love when you chime in, whether you and I agree or disagree. And I'm going to tell you something right now, Telless. Oftentimes, I will take an opposing position or a ridiculous position in order to get you to give your position on something, because I know it's going to be so detailed and well thought. So it's not even that I disagree with you. In fact, a lot of times we are on the same page, but I'm taking the other position just to get you to say something because I want everybody else to get educated. So there's a spoiler alert there. But have the kids taken to wrestling at all in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, man. We watch product all the time. Every year we have a annual party, annual like a WrestleMania party every year. I went, WrestleMania party. This year we did a crawfish boil WrestleMania party. So the kids were fighting, had a crawfish, having duels with each other. Like my son, the autistic one, he got two crawfish, two live ones, by the way, and put them in their own little container and have them fight each other. But yeah, they like to probably watch it. My middle child, he has a deep voice. He's like 3 years old with deepest voice ever. He'll say like something like, "Dad, you watching wrestling?" I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, I'm watching wrestling." like his voice is very deep. It's like very raspy for a 3-year-old. Like I think he would kind of dudes who get older and kind of voice kind of like this deep tenor voice is what you have because it's deep now. "Dad, you watching wrestling?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm watching wrestling, buddy." "Oh, that's wrestling." And he watches the wrestling, they wrestle each other all the time. Like my 2-year-old knows how to put him in a headlock, and he knows he'll even pop the hips when he does it. I didn't teach him that. The other day I saw him do a takeover, got me a headlock, and he popped his hips and took him over. I'm like, well, they'll learn something, I guess, from watching wrestling. So yeah, they're into it. But my hope is they don't, if they do pursue wrestling or something, pursue it in like a more writer point of view. Because I think I think a good writer is always going to have more. A good writer or a good producer or a good behind the scenes figure, because they all love theater, they all love acting. So I think they'll allow them to play different roles as opposed to being like Hulk Hogan your entire career or Batista your entire career. You're going to take part and play each role and like orchestrate these master storylines like the Bloodline or whatever over like a 4-year period and see a payoff on that. Personally, if I was to get involved in the end, I'd probably do something like that. Be a commentator or be like a behind the scenes guy.
Yeah, first of all, there's more potential longevity there. Number one,
yeah,
it's a lot safer.
yeah,
that too.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a lot safer, and the fact that it keeps you. I think that we've seen how TKO is treating their talent, and talent you're only good as what you draw. Where I feel like there's more forgiven as a writer because so much is not up to you as a writer, So I feel like you have more a margin of error as a writer or whatever than you do as a wrestler, a talent.
Yeah, well said. And that gives me some insight into, again, the quality of what you post online. And even when you do an original post yourself where you're dissecting a concept, it's always well thought out, well laid out, easy to understand. And it evokes some very good discussion, which I love that, man. It's important for us to challenge one another, to think beyond, and to really try to understand what we're consuming, especially in this day and age when we have AI that is quickly learning how to replace us. And folks, I've heard everything from you from the episode with of Devon and the Duke, episode 70, where I really was sounding the alarm about AI. And a lot of folks are saying, "Duke, you're kind of scaring us, man." And I'm like, look, I ain't trying to scare you. I'm just telling you based on my experience. And I have to interact with AI constantly. And I do so in my private life as well. I'm telling you right now, this is a runaway train that's not slowing down anytime soon. So we better understand what we're dealing with. Right.
So totally agree. And a lot of people don't use it right now. But that's fast changing as they make it easier to use.
Yeah, it's a fact, man. You had a perspective on AI that I wanted to really unpack, which is really the reason why you're here, because when we look at the crazy ticket prices and issues going on with TKO. And how these folks are giving themselves these big raises while at the same time they're releasing talent, and at the same time they're using AI more. You see it in graphics, the whole Gingerbread Man storyline, and how they used AI to develop some of those photos and what have you. They've admitted that they're using writers instead of using writers right now. They're running things through AI, and tapping into some of the storylines that the AI is developing. And that doesn't mean that they've replaced their writers yet, so don't misquote me out there, dirt sheets. But it's very clear that WWE is curious about AI and open to utilizing it and have been utilizing it enough that they publicly are okay with admitting it. Brother,
Yeah.
I want to hear your take on all that stuff, man.
Well, I consider wrestling one of the great American arts. I kind of follow CM Punk's philosophy there is that, it's one of the things that Americans actually contribute art-wise to the world: jazz, comic books, and pro wrestling, right? And so to me, art is not necessarily knowing how to do something. I used to be an artist, and this is something you don't know, but while I was in high school, I was a really good artist and screenwriter. I had my own. I want to be the Black Stan Lee at one point. That was my aspiration. And so, so much of art is not necessarily knowing how to do something correctly. It's knowing when to stop doing something, or when to embellish something, or when to take something away, or when to not do something actually. And AI can paint a sunset, but it can't do it the way Michelangelo or Picasso would do the sunset. And that is going to be to me, it's going to be the difference maker. Not necessarily technical ability, but to me, so much of being human is our imperfections. And AI is trained to be perfect. So I think those imperfections will have a premium place on them that AI won't be able to replicate. That makes sense.
Perfect sense.
I think in the world of perfection, imperfections are valued more. So to put it in a bow on it.
Whoa. Unpack that more. Say in a world of perfection. Say that again. Imperfections are what? Valued more?
Are valued. Can be valued more because it's one thing you can't replicate.
Wow, that is deep.
Because so much being human is our imperfections. Think about we all have a smile, and our smiles are all different. Some people have big incisors. Some people have big front teeth. Some people have gap in their mouths. But how many times I've seen models that have a gap in their mouth and it's their trademark?
Yeah.
Or how many times you've seen people bow-legged and it's their trademark?
Yeah.
Or you see people with a flat nose and it's their trademark.
Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan has one of the biggest likability scores of anyone that's ever been on TV. And obviously because he's a gentle giant and all that good stuff, but that gap in his teeth, if you take away the gap, I don't think he would score so high.
Right. Freckles are considered an imperfection.
Yeah.
So a freckle pattern can be something, like to me, AI is going to make, honestly, I think it's going to be, like I said, it's not going anywhere, but I think it can make humans be more human and do, because things that it's good at, we won't do anymore. And things AI is good at, it's going to do. Like, it's not good. Like it might help artists like get 8% of the way there, but it won't actually do the 20% that makes the art. Does that make sense?
Wow. No, it makes perfect sense. And I think, what are you seeing down in Texas? Are you starting to see in your line of work in the financial world, are you feeling it? Are you seeing it? Are you noticing AI's influence yet? Or is it still pretty early in the game for that?
No, financial people to me first because they're always trying to increase their returns. And so much of their returns come from managing their asset, that's something called 2 and 20 model. And 2 and 20 model is essentially where they get 2% fee from managing the asset, and that is supposed to help them keep the lights on. So instead of hiring 3 analysts, then you hire 1 and give them AI. They're going to do that because it increases their profitability essentially. And I've seen it. I mean, I use AI myself. The other day I created I had someone need a fractional CFO type of work. And I did that for them recently. I use AI to do like 8% of the work, and 20% they needed, I did in like maybe a day. So it did take me like a week to do, and that takes me like a few hours to do. So I am seeing that, but there are times where people think AI can do something. Like, it's not very good at content creation. People think it is only because it gives you a lot of it. But a lot doesn't mean it's good content. It's not quality content. Quantity is not better than quality. In a world where everyone's doing AI content creation, the real content is going to stand out, in my opinion. And that's why I quit using my content creation. Like now my posts are my post. I write a certain way. AI can try to write like me, but I have term phrases. I can go from funny to serious within 3 sentences. I use quotes from people smarter than me. And that's something AI doesn't necessarily know the rhythm of how to do something like that. It'll get better at it, but it will never be Telless. It'll be a personification of Telless. It'll be a digitation of Telless, but it won't actually be me. And so from what I see in the financial firms is they use the AI to basically kind of really help them with their research. And even then, they still have a person leading the research because the key in using it well is don't have to ask the right questions. And so they're still hiring smart people, but again, smart people AI now.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Again, folks, we're talking to Telless Cade here on Duke Loves Rasslin. Well said with AI's inability to truly write like a human being. It's one of the biggest flaws that I see in the AI. And it's funny because recently I put up a post, and it was a long post, where I laid out, some premise and gave my opinion and yada, yada, yada. And someone who will remain nameless, but they're older, they said, "Oh, stop using AI." Yeah, I know you did because that's what I'm getting at, because you commented. They said, "Stop using AI, whatever." And you were the first person to chime in. You were like, "He's not using AI. You can tell. Look at the sentence structure and look at the punctuation, what have you. That's not AI. That's he wrote that." And it's funny because the reason why they told me to stop using AI is because it was well written. So it was kind of a diss. Obviously, you assume, which I don't know why this person would ever assume that I'm not a good writer, because I am. But they assumed it must be AI. You couldn't have come up with that yourself. And you hit it right on the head. AI uses ellipses and they put dashes in certain spaces that just don't even make, like, we as human beings do not communicate that way. I don't care from a literal perspective if that's proper in the English language. We don't do that.
Yeah, and that thing too is like people like AI. While I do sales, right? And you have marketing speak, and you have the way people actually speak. AI is marketing speak. Like, yeah, phonetically, that is the correct way to say it. The syntax is perfect. The structure is perfect. Phonetically, yes, that's how you should write that. However, actual people don't talk that way. It's like it's different between learning. Like, I'm in Texas, right? And Texas, Spanish that someone from Mexico speaks in Texas is different than Spanish we learn in school, and they can tell you don't have to speak Spanish in school by the things you're saying. They're like, "Hey, man, no one says it that way." It's the same thing. Like, it's speaking perfect English, but no one speaks perfect English. We all have regional differences in how we speak. You're from Boston. I'm from Texas. You tell us write the same thing, and we have the exact same gist, exact same subject line per each sentence, and I guarantee you it'll look totally different. Because our writing is influenced not only by our education but also by our cultural leanings. You're from they call you guys Yankees or whatever, and I'm a Southerner, and so it's something different. I also got accused before using AI to write something. I'm like, nah, that was me. Just because I'm well written doesn't mean it's AI. I went to law school to write well, actually. I took English all throughout college. In college, I always got A's in English, always. And I'm not exaggerating. Every time I took English class in college, I got A in it. I took history classes in college, got A's in them. Because those classes require a lot of writing. And I'm a very good writer. Always have been a very good writer. It's one of the things that I should do more of because I'm so good at it. But yeah, people, I think they assume because they can't write well, you can't write well.
That's it.
I think it's what it is, really.
That's it. That's exactly it. So it was interesting to see that, because it's like, wow, that's scary when you can't naturally tell the difference, because what does that really mean? And that's the way. I didn't necessarily take offense to it. I just shrugged my shoulders and said whatever, because I'm thinking beyond. It's like, well, if you can't tell what's AI and what's not, and you've been communicating with me for over a decade, what does that say? You know?
It's scary, the second order effects of this, because it's like they say we have a dark internet. You heard of the dark internet theory?
Sure, of course.
Yeah, and they say one day it's AI speaking to AI on the internet.
It's already happening.
Because, yeah, and it's like, doesn't mean premium on like in-person experiences and forums and video chats, because you can't game those. You can't game those so much, you know. But yeah, it's scary how one day the internet or Twitter or whatever is going to be just a bunch of AI speak to one another. And they're already doing it. Like I said, they're already doing it. You know, like these bots and the responses, and it's already gamified with AI, because people just want clicks, not necessarily quality content.
There was something that came out a little over a year where someone had said that our quantum computers were essentially communicating with other dimensions in order to solve complex problems. And it was one of those moments where somebody let that out publicly, and then they had to work really hard to try to walk it back, because you essentially admitted something that you probably weren't supposed to admit. It was so flippant the way that it came out because it was so matter of fact and clear. And, you know, people like us, we didn't miss that, because it's like, well, if you're communicating with other dimensions, then what the hell does that mean? That means that you know definitively that there's something else out there that is at least technologically advanced enough to communicate with our supercomputers.
I told a buddy of mine, I'm like, we don't need to talk to anything that's not on planet Earth. And he said, why? I said, never in history of civilization has superior species with superior technology case of species that are basically primitive and not conquer them.
Yeah.
That's never happened. That has never happened. Like, oh, hey, Star Trek. Hey, we have all these things, and we don't give you this, show you how to do nuke and warp drive, and show you how to have infinite crops. That's never happened. They're like, oh, these suckers are stupid. Let's take all what they got and kill all of them. That's always been the case.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why people think we are any different just because we're. I don't know why people think that. I think it's just they say that if you always see yourself, if you've never been a victim, you have no idea how to see things like a victim. And maybe the insight is minorities because we have some experience being victims in one respect or another. People don't understand that we see things differently than people who haven't had the misfortune of being victims. It's the same way that women tend to, think about their safety when they're walking alone in parking lot at night, and I don't. I'm a 230-pound guy. I'm probably scariest thing you see in parking lot at night. But if I was a 5'10" woman, 5 foot woman, 110 pounds, a lot of things can hurt me at night. I need to be more, cognizant of my surroundings. So I think that has something to do with that. That people who have never been victims can understand being a victim. And so we do things like talk to species or beings in other dimensions, thinking that, oh, this does be nice to us. So I always tell my friend, leave them alone. Don't talk to them, because the minute they come out here, they'll conquer us, and it's all over for the human race.
I mean, history has proven that you're not wrong. History has proven that you're not wrong. So that's the irony of it. And here's the thing. That's because the first thing a person is going to say to try to disprove you is that, well, that's human beings. And it's like, no, it's not just human beings. We see it in the animal kingdom. Yeah, those that have
each other.
Yeah, those that are, I guess the way to describe it, and this is not 100% accurate, but I'm going to say it this way because it's the easiest way to understand. Those animals that are more intelligent and understand how to utilize its own will to impose on others, they do that. And they make sure that there is an order as a result of that, and that they're on top.
What's that? Heard about the monkey civil war going on in Africa now?
Yes.
How the chimpanzees organized and create spheres, and they went and killed a bunch of gorillas and took their babies and ate them.
Which is crazy, because gorillas are bigger than monkeys.
But they're passive. They don't fight.
Yeah.
So it basically be the passive native against the evil colonists.
Yeah.
And which is sad, but animals do it all the time. So some things are universal. And I think force is universal. Might is right is pretty universal, like amongst species.
Yeah, that's a fact. So to your credit and to your point, we're out here searching and trying to communicate is that really the right thing to do? Knowledge is power, so I'm not against knowing and understanding and safely studying, but I am against trying to truly communicate with, because at some point we're either going to have to get them or they're going to get us, and there's no middle ground there.
I mean, resources are always a thing people fight over.
Yep.
And I have a theory that like next 20 years or so, water's gonna be a thing people fight over. They already start fighting with water to the extent
we're already there.
They're using legal. They're using paper now, not violence. But it's only a matter of time for water battles kick off over rivers and creeks and lakes and stuff.
Yeah, we're already there.
Yeah, and the mind is right. Kind of made me think about. I posted the other day in the channel about how unions or whatnot. Has only a matter of time for WWE has a union, and it's the same concept, right? Like the might really is in the talent's hands if they wanted to use that might. If they really wanted to, like really wanted to, if all the mid-carders or whatever, hey, the whole industry just wanted to say, you know what, we work tonight until we get healthcare for everybody. What are they gonna do?
Well, I'll tell you, Telless. Now is the time if they're going to do it, because with AI technology not advanced enough to completely replace them yet, you got to get those things in place and get those agreements and protect those human jobs now. Do not wait. You need to unionize now. You need to tap into the folks outside of the business and make sure that the politicians have the laws in place to protect human jobs now. So it's a symmetry. You know what I mean? Legally, you have it covered, and then you have the union there to push in private industry or even, the publicly traded industry, what have you. But all of it has to happen now before you get replaced.
And WWE's already experimenting with technology with the boneyard matches and the cinematic matches. Whatever. They're already experimenting with it. It's like so like it won't be a huge jump for them to one day have Undertaker's avatar fight the Warriors avatar or whatever in a dream match or whatever. Like people always want to see Shawn Michaels versus The Rock, for example.
Yes,
it wasn't bad time for AI could probably put that together if they wanted to. Yeah. So if the time it won't work, they fine. We own your likeness. We have our own match without you. And I tell people all the time, I say wrestling is somehow not being governed by entertainment rules and not athletic rules at the same time, because wrestlers say, oh, we're not fighters, so we should have to do state athletic commissions and whatnot. So it's only a matter of time for the chicks come on the roots, because you can't have it both ways. You can't say, we're entertainment, but not on the SAG rules. We're not athletics. We're not on the athletic rules. So somebody got to hold you accountable to something. And that's and I know my idea is that's why the WWE so choppy with the administrations, because they know it's only a matter of time and trying to thread that needle. But like you said, this is time for the talent to collect. Like you don't need the big guys to even do it. You just need like 80% of the roster to do it. You get 80% of the roster to do it, they're gonna talk tomorrow. Not that day. But like I said, now it's time to do it. And
shoot, you don't even need 80%. Legally, the threshold is 30%.
Oh, really? So yes, I was wrong there.
No, you're not. You're not wrong. It's just that the threshold is even shorter than 80. To legally be legally be recognized by the government as a union, all you need is 30% of a specific workforce. So, in the case of say a company like WWE, if 3 out of every 10 wrestlers who are under contract come together and say we're a union and file the right paperwork and what have you, they will officially legally be recognized by our government as a union.
Well, I've been as far as like a walkout, having any tooth to it.
Sure,
80%.
I hear that
because like they're going to a situation where we see it happen all the time. NBA had one, MLB they have one in football. Like walkouts happen all the time.
Yeah,
and it's only a matter of time for these guys to get guaranteed pay, for these guys to get guaranteed health care for them and their families. And then like calling it what? Are they still considered independent contractors? Like
yes, they are.
You can't have all the power like that and get the talent no leverage. So
Right.
they pay their own healthcare, their own travel, but you tell them when to work and when they're able to work. And you can't.
How does that happen? Yeah.
And you have exclusive jurisdictions on how they can work and where they can work.
Yeah.
So your employee everything but name, and yet they have no healthcare. They have they pay their own taxes. They pay their own travel. Like, how's that work? In any world, how's that work?
It doesn't.
Like, it's like I'm like you. I'm interested in politics. I remember watching. I remember seeing a video of like a old political cartoon. It was on J.P. Morgan or whatever, or was it Rockefeller? It was one of the guys, but he was like it's a fat cartoon of him, and the worker was like small. And it was saying things like it was a pro union cartoon actually. It was pro union. I think it was maybe Henry Ford even, and like it was like profits, revenue, legislation, and the workers like starving. And I'm like, talent now they are starving, but at the same time, they don't have very many protections. And unless you're undeniable like a Cody or a Roman, you aren't for those protections. So, unions aren't for the Cody and the Romans. They're for the, the people who just starting off. They're for the people who, the blue collar, I call them the blue collar workers, the people who make the platform a thing, the good hands, the Dolph Ziggler's of the world, the guys who aren't necessarily the ticket put butts in the seats, so to speak, but the guys who make the guys who look good stars. That's what it's for. It's more them than our stars.
You're right. So even historically, the Hulk Hogan's of the world, this is why they could run back to the boss and tell on everybody and probably get a little bit more cheese on their Whopper, so to speak. You know what I mean? Probably get more of a bump because they're looking out for themselves. Unions benefit the people who are not the top guys for the most part.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
as a top guy or top lady, I'm using guy meaning human being, but as a top person,
yeah,
when you get injured and you're unable to work for a period of time, no matter how short or how long that is, that's when it matters. That's when having that union protection, what have you, really shows you why it was necessary to have that. Because without it, you're up to the discretion of the company. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to do what's best for their own pocketbook, and the hell with you.
I argue with people. Argue somebody on there. It's like, people might have hated the way Vince ran things, but there's been so many stories of Vince like helping guys out.
Yeah.
Who, with their health care, or they need jobs to pay for pay for their bills. I'm like, you think TKO would do that? Right now, it's gonna go Ari Emanuel and say, "Hey man, I need my neck's back. I need some health care." You think Ari Emanuel will say, "Hey man, here you go"? Nah, he care about shareholders. He don't give a fuck about that. And he's not wrong. It's not his job to care.
It's not his job to care.
Not his job.
He has a fiduciary responsibility to do what's best for increasing revenue, right?
Actually, it's illegal for him to do anything outside of that. So, like you said, it's fiduciary. It's illegal for him to do anything outside of that. It's probably a fireball fence from the board. So he's not wrong for doing that. It's just the way it is. Yep. And, like, I don't blame him for maximizing shareholder value. That's his job, the public company. But Devon said the other day in a podcast, I listened to it. WWE's not, wrestling's a public company. It's not going to work, and I argue that the reason it works so far is only because Vince was there and he operated like an old school promoter.
Yep.
That's the only reason why. But now you got corporate guys who got MBAs and who went to Harvard and who think about shareholder value, and treat it like a regular company. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I'll tell you something that I've never revealed on the show. Again, 10 years, I've interviewed so many Hall of Famers and big-time people and what have you, and people who never were necessarily under contract with WWE, but they had their matches and experiences. One of the things that has always surprised me, the people who are actually stars in WWE, for the most part, they have no problem with telling you about times where they weren't on the same page as Vince, and they were upset with him over something. But I don't care if you're talking about Devon, Medusa, Bob Backlund. I can go down the list, man. Jerry the King Lawler. They will absolutely have no problem telling you about times where they butted heads with Vince. But overall, they all say the same thing. I preferred working for him in retrospect. He was fair. I didn't always like what he did and why he did it and what have you. I wasn't always on the receiving end of the best situation, but he was fair looking back on it. And we miss him. We wish he was still in charge. The business is not as good in that company without him being in charge. That is a very strange perspective to hear, because you assume that everyone's just going to say, "Oh, he wasn't the best guy," and nah, blah. No, those folks are like, "No, I'd rather deal with him than deal with what you got now."
You know what's funny? I listened to that podcast, and Bruce Peckert said the same thing. He said, "When he's gone, we're gonna miss him."
Yeah,
and who knew how right he would be?
100% right.
And because I tell people, like, the guys watching, when's the last thing that Triple H actually, like, the new regime actually created a star? And you can argue Oba, okay, whatever, but that's one hit, and granted, you don't need one hit to be a success. You don't need a lot of hits to be, to make your name, so to speak.
Yeah.
But like the bloodline, they're still eating off the bloodlines. The bloodlines shoes, they start eating Cody's shoes or whatever. And Oba, maybe Vince has something to, maybe Vince scouted him or whatever, or have scouted him, give him the power plant, so to speak. But who knew that? I think it also comes to Vince being raised in business, so he has certain appreciation for the business.
Sure.
And I don't think the powers be now, outside of Triple H, have that same respect for the business. And he's not, a decision maker. He's a decision maker, but he has bosses he answers to. He's not CEO.
I wouldn't even call him a decision maker at this point. I think Triple H has gotten his marching orders, and it's very simple. These are the parameters that you're going to work within. And even when you work within those parameters, we're going to step in and tell you what we feel is best. And you can see that because, for better or worse, I don't think Trick Williams and Obafemi happen without TKO stepping in and saying, "Hey, whether it's true or not, the perception is you're not featuring enough black male wrestlers, especially singles wrestlers. It doesn't make any sense that they haven't been on the PLEs for so long. Doesn't make any sense that some of our top stars are not black males. We got to fix that. So now we're just going to just dump the best and brightest that we have in NXT onto the main roster, and we're going to push these guys." And it's working, but I don't think that's a Triple H move, quite frankly, Telless.
You know what? The past made you disagree on this, but I have to be inclined that you're right now on this. And the only reason why is because there's too much smoke there to say it's not true. Like you have MVP saying things. Lashley being a 2-time world champion, and he'll have anything to do all of a sudden. Bianca was undeniable. Bianca was merged, and she's already established.
But even Bianca never had a real storyline. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
Bianca never had a real storyline.
It's true. Now, I'm talking about like outside of the Jade and Naomi thing.
That's but that's TKO. Now keep that in mind, right?
Yeah. It's funny. I said this a long time ago. I said that I told somebody this. I'm like, they did a coup to get Vince out of there because they wanted the company and knew Vince cared about Vince ran things like an old school promoter. And the coup was that they had the story on Vince with the whole, allegations and whatnot or whatever, which, we still kind of don't know or whatever. And I worked in, a financial world, and I've done due diligence. I've done research. If it was that big, they would find that before they bought it.
Yep.
And that would affect the price they bid for it.
Yep.
You don't find something like that right after you buy something like that and be like, "Oh yeah, you can fire the CEO now because of this." You will fire them. They'll affect the price of the asset you're purchasing, because now it's key man risk. That's what it's called. Now it's key man risk.
Be careful now. And you're talking that financial stuff, and you making sense. Be careful now.
The principle of a comp organization was that hot, for lack of a better word, you wouldn't do this before you even bid for said asset because that's key man risk and that affect the viability of the asset post merger. It makes no sense that you bid on asset when it's that hot without knowing the information going on, without knowing actually exactly what the CEO is up to. Because in venture capital, for example, right, and private equity, you investigate the principals. You want to know if their credit's bad. You want to know if they're alcoholics. You want to know if they're wife beaters. These things you need to know because it comes out after that you bought it, and it can affect the perception of the company, which in fact hurts your dollars, especially for a public company. So, to me, it was a coup orchestrated by Nick Khan to take over WWE, and Triple H is part of the coup because for the longest time Vince will let them do what they want to do, but now you trade one devil for one you don't know, and now they're stuck. You got to deal with the new reality, which they don't understand exactly how corporate TKO is. And to me, because look at UFC fighters, they got to fight freaking Jake Paul to get a paycheck. So I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to do or accomplish, but to me, this was all orchestrated for the top. And granted, it's conspiracy theory. I have no background information in the company. I have no knowledge. I just looked at the numbers, and it doesn't make sense that they go this route for such a expensive asset. It makes no sense.
Well, you're coming from an educated perspective, though. You have your financial background. You are a wrestler. You're a lifelong WWE fan. If Telless Cade can't speak on this subject, then nobody can, quite frankly. Right? You're more qualified to speak on this subject than 99% of the people who go out there and speak on it, including myself, quite frankly. So I appreciate you coming in and adding this extra layer of perspective, because you're absolutely right. If you're buying a company and you're doing your due diligence, which they absolutely did, they bought the company for a little over $9 billion. Yeah, by law, you have to do your due diligence. Listen, it was not a secret that Vince McMahon was fooling around with some of the folks in that company. So the question is, it wasn't a secret. So the question is, was he doing it legally or illegally? Obviously, he's violating corporate rules and all that good stuff there, but was he breaking the law? How bad, to what extent is going on here? Is he showing favoritism? All those things had to be investigated before you buy the company. And it wasn't listen, tell us, there were people in that company who were calling me and telling me things. Now, I'm not TKO. I don't have that money. I don't have that cachet. And I wasn't giving anybody anything. They just wanted me to know to see if I was going to put something out. So,
let me say this: Dan White was on camera slapping his wife. He's still CEO. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well,
it's all I'm gonna say.
There it is.
That's all I'm gonna say. They weren't meant to be there. He was to been there. They chose to pull that trigger.
Dana White, the guy who was running UFC and still is technically the president. Literally, the guy who actually created Slap Fight, and literally, it's a company where that's what they do. They slap each other until somebody gets knocked out and can't continue anymore. Slapped his wife in a club, and I think he hit her more than once. He hit her like once or twice.
It was more than once.
Yeah, more than once.
So technically,
a grown man. Yeah.
So technically, the call wife beater wouldn't be a stretch.
No, not at all. It actually is pretty accurate. It's actually pretty accurate.
And if he's doing this in public, imagine what doing to her behind the scenes.
Well, there it is. So the fact that he can keep his job after that,
I won't get lawsuit, Dana. So
yeah,
he kept his job. So like, to me, it was a coup. They pulled the trigger on because they wanted WWE, and now they're dealing with the consequences of their actions, and it's why attendance is down. I told somebody the other day, and you talked about that thing too. I said the mafia ran Vegas better than corporations do. The mafia is not trying to get juice this quarter. They want juice for the next 20 years.
Yep.
They want juice you now. They want juice you over next. And it's the same concept. And wrestling is a business of carnies. It's a carny business. Mm-hmm. The mafia had the right approach. Juice people for 20 years, not for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. The quick bang ain't as good as the long drawn out bang, brother. Just keep them coming. Keep them coming. But
they try to look for the shareholder prices next quarter, and so They don't care about just people over the next 20 years. They want all your money today. If you never come back, they're fine with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. You talk about Vegas. Circus is considered like the worst Vegas hotel on the Strip, right? It's the cheapest.
Yeah.
It's outdated.
I've seen it. It's
they
terrible.
they don't have the bells and whistles. But here's the funny part. They are consistently the most profitable out of all of them. And when you compare them to the Fontainebleau, which is the most expensive resort and hotel and casino in Vegas, which just bleeds money. They're just hemorrhaging money every single minute. When you look at the profit margins that Circus has, because despite being cheaper, despite having old school slot machines that you got to pull down on the thing and what have you, and focusing on that type of stuff, they have very simple food options and things like that. People go there for vacation multiple times a year, and they may not spend as much money in one trip, but they make it up in volume. Enough people keep showing up and they keep spending enough money that they just make money. All they do is make money. Circus.
Yeah.
So that's the long con, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, even NBA's realizing this. NBA's realizing, okay, tickets got way too expensive.
Yeah.
Let's down some. So yeah, owners like Dan Gilbert or whatever. Not Dan Gilbert, the guy who bought the Suns recently. His rival.
Yep.
There we go. Lower prices of tickets and do like cheaper concessions stands, foods. Hey, you realize that, hey, if I want a family to come here, I can charge them $20, $100 a head. You know, like bro, I have three children and a wife, right?
Yeah.
So for me to WE event, it's going to cost me like $500.
Yeah, which is crazy because it used to for that same family, you could get in and get out for $100 not too long ago.
Yeah, I get tickets for $20. I get tickets for $20 a head or whatever. Some of the kids probably free because of their age. I get a hot dog and a drink and a beer for like $6-7, you know, and call it a day, right? Yeah. But the other day I took my kids to movie theater, and for all to see, so my kids love SpongeBob. For all to see movie theater, see SpongeBob for all people to see, we had to go during matinee prices, and it was like $10 a head. So like $20 a head has been. If it was like regular time hours to go see it. Like, he thinks, for whatever reason, they're Disney, but Disney's money is predicated on people knowing that it's Disney, and it's a lifetime experience. Yeah. But for them, they charge too much for that. They charge way too much for it to be like Disney. They need to be like more like a baseball game prices, and that's going to make more money. WrestleMania be expensive. Okay, it's WrestleMania. I understand being expensive, but Raw shouldn't be that expensive, man.
No. I shouldn't be spending $100 a ticket for mid-level seats to see a Raw. Like, that's crazy. You know,
like, man,
that's crazy.
I'll pay much money to see freaking I don't know, American Made or whatever, and Rome's not even there more than likely. Yeah, it's like you're a Rockets fan, you pay money, and Rockets fans know sometimes Kevin Durant don't play, so tickets aren't crazy prices because he's not playing. It might not play. You know what I mean? So it's just a weird thing, and I hope they get some better people in charge, man. And honestly, I think they need to sell it. I think they probably want to sell it actually. Because
I wouldn't be surprised. Last year I didn't think so, but now I can see it happening. I think they're getting there.
What do I say it because they're doing two things you do to get ready for sale. And I've seen this a lot of businesses. I advise at least 40, 50 businesses. And so the things they're doing, it will make sense. Like, why would
they're
you
pumping,
if you're not going
right?
to do that?
Right now they're pumping.
They're pumping and cutting at the same time. Yep.
So now the next step is the dump.
It has to be. Otherwise, why are you cutting? Yeah. You know what I mean? You cutting people's pay. You're getting rid of people like Kofi and Xavier, locker room leaders and stalwarts. You need locker room leaders. Wrestling's one business. You need veterans around.
Absolutely.
And someone like Xavier Woods and Kofi I never heard a bad story about Kofi or a bad story about Xavier. No. For my intentions of them. Beloved. If I teach them, everybody loves them, those guys. Yeah. There's some people run killing the same way. People love these guys.
Yep.
You keep them around because their value is not just in like, there's some people that make people around them better and keep them around for that effect they have on others around them. The morale you spoke of in your podcast a few back, and those guys had that kind of effect on people that make them want to do the tough slogs because you need those people. You know, I read a lot of books. Napoleon's greatest strength wasn't his. You know, he was very good at his tactics. It wasn't that. It was his morale he boosts he had for his soldiers.
Yeah.
Napoleon
the atmosphere matters, bro. You gotta make people feel like it's worth it. If people feel like working for you, aligning with you, putting themselves through hell for you is worth it, then you can have them do that for a longer period of time and get the most productivity out of them. Once they feel like it's not worth it anymore, that's when the morale goes down. And when the morale goes down, that's when the quality of whatever product you're putting out there, I don't care if it's entertainment, if it's food, I don't care what it is that you're selling. Once you allow morale to drop, that's when the quality goes in the toilet. And once the quality goes in the toilet, the customer base starts to revolt because they're not going to put up with that.
And I argue that this generation of wrestlers, it matters way more because the old generation wrestlers from the 80s, for them was a job.
Yeah.
They're trying to pay their families. They didn't give a shit about titles. They didn't give a shit about figurines. They just want their money to go home to take care of their families. Yeah. But these wrestlers grew up on those wrestlers. For them, it's almost like their Shawn Michaels' boyhood dreams. All of them, what their dream was work WWE. All of them. You know, they made it to a point where they'll take less money in some cases work for WWE because of WWE, right? So for them, the morale is infinitely more important for this generation than prior generation. And the same token, this generation is also way more in tune with their feelings than prior generations. So you have this generation who cares more, who I joke will save us all because they care so much, and you cut two guys who can keep those emotions in check because they're leaders they look up to, and in some cases were raised on. Yep, I don't see it working well for them.
Nah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. We can see it coming. That's the one difference from quality businesses and businesses where all they care about is profit and they don't understand the human aspect of things, so they don't last long enough. And that's just the truth of it. You know, tell us, why don't you let everybody know the best way to keep up with you, man? I didn't even realize we went so long here. It's going to be one of my longest episodes, and I love it because it's all quality. I love it.
I'm sorry, man. I like that, man. This thing's I have a passion for forever. So it's always a pleasure to speak with you and share my viewpoints on this kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. You can catch me on Facebook. You know my name, Telless, Telless Cade. Instagram. My tag is Tango DOT CADE. Same tag on Twitter. Or X. No, I call it Twitter. I don't care what he calls it. I call it Twitter. It's my phone Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. Save and you know my website is bakcode.com, and like I said, I'm a financial advisory firm for small businesses who are looking to maximize their profits and just try to hire more without breaking their banks.
Strictly for the culture every day. Step in style in your unique way. Patterns and colors so defined. All about the perfect line. Be yourself, let your spirit fly. In this fashion, you'll touch the sky. Strictly for the culture, brand so fine. Dress to impress and show your shine. Strictly for the culture, every day. Step in style in your unique way.
Visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca.
Micah Madrid, aka Sylvia Sanchez from Wow Women of Wrestling, and you've been listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.